Instead of Diddy to accept that his happiness is too big to fit inside a closet, I think he needs to bring it out and let it shine. I mean, he would rather put his ball of fist, but he would rather fist fight Usher over some type of milk.
Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the frosted flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What the did Puff just say?
And the details of Diddy's lawsuit has been crazy. I mean, details pointing to him blowing up cars, several of his freak-off parties with very young, innocent-minded women present, alcohol drinks that were tampered with, and many more ungodly, unsafe things. I mean, if it weren't for these lawsuits, we wouldn't even know that Diddy had a personal hitman. I mean, people who made people and problems disappear. But the thing that baffles me is how come Diddy didn't see this coming? He's smart to make $1 billion, but not smart to see that what he was doing would lead to his downfall? Could his psychopathic tendencies be from what happened to his dad when he was young? Or was it the money that twisted Diddy all along the way? And what was he doing with Justin Bieber and Usher just at the age of 10? And what other powerful people might this implicate if Diddy ever goes down? Diddy's party eyewitnesses. On February 9th, 2022, Vice, the media company, posted a snippet of a manager who revealed what it was like working at a hotel. First, he spoke about the hotel experience.
The hotel industry is a wild experience that helps you understand how disconnected the wildly wealthy are.
Second, he said he saw the darker side of humanity, as rich men were often involved in some of the sickest things.
I've seen the darker side of humanity: suicides, murders, spousal abuse, human trafficking.
Soon after quitting his job, he's traumatized and he recalls how sick that made him feel.
That shit stays with you for a long time.
And obviously, with all of that money to their name and nothing else to do, the very rich men were doing the most depraved, the most diabolical things everywhere. I mean, even though they had beds that were soft like Tempur-Pedic, they did it on balconies, sinks, tables, and even plate racks. And if there was anything that had a surface, they were on it too. But when I saw this, it was something that sounded a little too familiar.
We're here with the lovely and talented Jamie Foxx. Jamie, what's a day in the life of Jamie Foxx? What's it like in the foxhole? What's it?
This is American actor and comedian Jamie Foxx on The Late Night Show on May 16th of 2018. Because he had went to a party that was similar to the one we had just described, he had a lot to say.
I would hang out and watch him throw parties.
Sure, he famously threw his white party out.
He would throw a party. One point, I went to Philly, followed him all the way to Philly. He threw a party, and he said, "Yo, Playboy, this party costs $1.5 million."
Jamie Foxx was at this party, and he described that the people he saw while he was at this party were some of the most famous people that we all knew.
Here's what's crazy: the people at the party. Puff at that time had a room. Missy Elliott had a room. Dum, 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 you know what I'm saying? Dum, 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 dum. And standing on the wall, nobody knew who he was. Guess who it was? It was Jay-Z.
However, what Jamie Foxx was saying also sounded a little too familiar. Another person, Keefe D, would go on to describe a disturbing party that he once went to. He said Diddy and Tupac were just like couples.
Puff and Tupac was like a couple, seemed like to me.
And as Keefe D struggled to explain everything that went on in that party, he ended it by saying there were a lot of weird, unexplainable, and ungodly things going on.
It's just a lot of weird shit, dude. You know what I'm saying? Shit.
What was going on behind the scenes, right? What could possibly be happening at this party? What was happening at these Diddy parties? And who are these people that were involved? As a result of this, on the day of Monday, March 25th, 2024, Diddy's house would be raided.
The Department of Homeland Security conducting a raid at a house in Holmby Field Hills, believed to be connected to Sean Combs, the rapper and music executive, perhaps being linked to a sex groundbreaking investigation.
Evidently, Diddy was a billionaire, rap mogul, and known all across the world. So, as you might expect, helicopter cameras were on scene Monday afternoon as dozens of federal agents simultaneously raided Diddy's mansion. They made their way towards the mansion's main entrance, broke through the house, marched in, and turned it upside down. After a few hours, a video later resurfaced showing Diddy's bedroom. I mean, it was torn apart. Wires and cords appeared to be checked. Cabinets and safes were left open, drawers were cracked open, boxes filled with gun ammos were broken, and even previously won Grammy Awards were left out like mere trash. Outside was paparazzis with cameras, Fox News reporting live, and many FBI agents coasted outside. I mean, Diddy was in some hot shit. And while this appeared to be one hell of a scene, it was. It seemed that they were looking for something. But what was this thing that they were looking for? Before we talk about that, we have to first see what happened after this raid, which was what happened to Diddy's private jet. Diddy's private jet.
This is her. Black excellence. All black everything. All black crew. The greatest pilots in the world. Yes, sir.
While feds raided Diddy's house, his private jet was flown to an island called Antigua in the Caribbean. Many questioned if Diddy was on board. Some said he was, others said he wasn't. Yet nobody knew.
Photos obtained by ABC News capturing Combs' Love Air jet in Antigua. No information about who, if anyone, was on the plane.
But this photo was taken. It was of Diddy's private jet, and it was posted and shared all over social media because everybody was wondering, where was Diddy? Many assumed that he was on board, but while you're wanted by the feds, Antigua would be the worst place to go. This is because Antigua has extradition laws with the US against criminals, meaning if you were to commit a crime and you fled to Antigua, maybe thought Antigua was gonna save your ass. Antigua will talk to the US because of the law that they have, extradition laws. They will ship your ass right back to the United States to serve your sentence. This was what happened to El Chapo's son. He was caught in Mexico, but was sent to the US, extradited, just so he can serve his life sentence. This is why I think it wouldn't be smart if Diddy was to flee to Antigua if he wanted to flee. Now, if he fled to a country like, say, China, Indonesia, maybe Iceland, or maybe far in Europe like Belarus or something, you know, those countries with no extradition treaty, I think that would be a much safer option. And it will cause me to believe that Diddy did flee. But I think he's still in the United States. I actually don't think he went anywhere. I think the private jet was actually a distraction tactic to bring attention from him to something else. But it didn't work because look at all of this. Look at all of this. We're all here talking about Diddy, right? But with that FBI raid, I can't help but continue to think about what they were looking for. The missing tapes. At this point, I'm sure the stakes were high for Diddy. His house had been raided, and he's probably laying low. He's probably pulling his connections together, trying to get out of this mess. But inside Diddy's party, what was truly going on that deserved this much of a raid, let alone this much of noise on CNN, ABC, and every mainstream media that you can find? Why was Diddy so hot? Apparently, they were looking for some tapes. Previously, on November 20th, 2016, Kanye West went on a 15-minute rant. He was live on stage in front of thousands of people. It was one heck of a crazy experience. Phones were held up in the sky, and Kanye West was on a floating stage. Yet, with this scenery, the things that were about to come next would be totally unexpected. Kanye began naming names. He said that he was putting his life on the line for this. And at last, Kanye admitted that billionaires had killers. And this story of Kanye matters because when he said billionaires like Jay-Z had killers, nobody believed him. Yet, people were quick to call him crazy, quick to say he had a nervous breakdown. And as a result of that rant, Kanye was put in the hospital.
Kanye West is waking up in a Los Angeles hospital where he's now under observation, reportedly for exhaustion and stress.
And while we can argue that Kanye went crazy or not, If you look at today, especially the lawsuits and allegations surrounding Diddy, the things that Kanye said aren't too far off, right? Especially with the topic of billionaires and killers. In the parties of Diddy, a thick 75-page lawsuit indictment paper is filed against him, not only Sean Combs, who is Diddy, Justin Dior Combs, who is his son, Ethiopia Tamariam, former CEO of Motown Records, Lucian Charles Grange, who might not be the CEO of Universal Music Group anymore after this, Christina Karam, the day-to-day manager of Diddy, Charlie's Recording Studios in Los Angeles, California, Love Records, Diddy's own child label with a very odd-looking logo, Motown Records, Universal Music Group, the entire Combs Global Enterprise, which is a portfolio of Diddy's businesses, Anonymous John and Jane Doe's, and lastly, ABC Corporations. These allegations were from a man named Rodney, who was born and raised in Chicago with a musical background, who met Diddy because he was really a skilled producer, producing several songs on Diddy's rhythm and blues album titled The Love Album. Soon after accepting to work for Diddy, Rodney's life changed for the worst. Because the album was such a large project, Rodney lived with Diddy for a year and a month from September 2022 to November 2023, spending holidays, birthdays there, and even missing major family events. Rodney spent several weeks on Diddy's yacht, rented by Diddy. He witnessed, experienced, and lived and, quote, saw many things that went far beyond his role as a producer. Through this entire year of living with Diddy, Rodney was able to go on Diddy's yachts, and these yachts had phones with 4K cameras present, meaning there were a lot of recordings and photos taken of things that were happening on this yacht. I mean, we're talking audio recordings of Diddy, his staff, and every one of his athlete friends, his billionaire friends. Very powerful people engaging in serious, career-ending illegal activities. I was curious, so I read the entire 75 pages, and it was indeed crazy. Like, the word crazy is an understatement for how bad this is. And this is because it takes you into the world of really powerful and corrupt people. There were tactics of control and dominion used against other people. Things like promising someone a Grammy nomination of Producer of the Year to do really sick things, and then offering them $250,000 to do things that are, let's just say, not safe for YouTube, right? These photos, who are off the streets, whom Diddy required Jones to have his way with at his home in Miami, Florida. With the tattoos, I'm sure someone on the internet has found them. There were album listening parties held in Diddy's home, and multiple young adults that weren't even the age of 18. It's reported that there were at least 5 women in the crowd at these listening parties that were under the age of 16, and Diddy is here seen with one of them. At these parties, bottles of De Leon, Diddy's own liquor brand, were tampered with and contaminated with something called Tusi. It's a party powder, right? And as a result, they felt lightheaded and passed out due to the potency. There were picture proofs of these listening events, like this one. Diddy's ex-bodyguard, Gene, a long time ago, had detailed how Diddy used to spike drinks such as orange and cranberry juices with these party powders.
Especially if they like mixed drinks. You understand? They see the bottles when they open them, and they trying to keep their eyes on because they don't want to get no kind of drugs put in their system. But what they don't understand is in the orange juice and it's in the cranberry juice.
The Rodney Jones indictment continues that Diddy groomed Rodney to pass him off to his friends like Cuba Gooding Jr., who is an American actor known in movies such as Men of Honor and Boat Trip. Diddy left Rodney and Cuba alone in a room together on purpose, and this photo shows Gooding with his arm around Mr. Rodney Jones. And because everyone bends at Diddy's will, Mr. Jones recalls Diddy taking no for an answer. When it was reported in 1999 that Shine had shot up a nightclub in New York, Shine was sentenced to 10 years in prison for it. From 1999, he was released in 2010, but turns out he wasn't even the one that shot the gun that night. and Diddy was the one who shot it. Diddy bragged to Rodney multiple times saying he was indeed the one responsible for shooting that nightclub that night. They were at this party on screen when that happened. The indictment shows how corrupt even the police department, people that are supposed to uphold the law and protect the citizens, how corrupt they could be in terms of doing favors for very rich people. Because Diddy made it clear that he not only had power within the music industry, but also with the entire law enforcement. This person is Fahim Muhammad, who's known as Diddy's head of security, or Diddy's personal hitman. Combs usually describes Fahim as the person who has the power to make people and problems disappear. He instructed his staff that if they were ever pulled over by police, to call Mr. Fahim Muhammad, and immediately police would leave them alone. In a situation while Diddy was making his Love album on September 12, 2022 at Chalice Recording Studio, him and his son Justin had gotten into a heated argument with a 30-year-old man named Mr. G. Soon, they'd move the argument from the studio into the bathroom, but thereafter, gunshots would ring out and someone would be shot. After the shooting, a crowd gathered around the restroom, and there was Mr. G lying on the restroom floor, shot in the fetal position. Despite being the one who shot, Diddy came up with a plan, instructing everyone to lie to the police, saying he had nothing to do with the shooting, and Mr. G was shot outside by a drive-by assailant. Pictures that I won't be showing show the aftermath of the shooting, where it was blood on the floor. I'm guessing Mr. G survived, but it even says Diddy did hire a cleaning crew to come and clean the studio's bathroom after this happened. Later, because of what happened with Mr. G and Diddy in the studio, Mr. Fahim Muhammad, with his connections to the LAPD, was contacted. He lied to LAPD, strengthening the cover-up, saying that G was indeed shot outside of the studio. Without any investigation, law enforcement believed it. It was even reported that Sir Lucian Grange, the CEO of Universal Music Group, who literally controls many of the music labels and music artists that we listen to, was also involved in Diddy's freak-off activities. It's said that with his huge line of credit, meaning a lot of money to his name, credit card that doesn't run out, he paid for and attended several of Diddy's listening parties in his LA mansion. Rodney recalls that when he comes to Diddy's home, they disappear for hours into Diddy's bedroom, and as said above, underage girls and spiked drinks were always present at these homes. The report compares his day-to-day manager, which they call KK, known as Christina Karam, as the Ghislaine Maxwell of Jeffrey Epstein. Jones also witnessed Diddy distribute firearms from his bedroom closet to individuals dressed in all black. Because of YouTube's guidelines, you know how they are with things like this, and I won't be showing 2C or diving too deep into it, but just know it's a pink substance that was put into these drinks that they were drinking. 2C is the pink powder that Diddy takes that even all his housekeepers are instructed to keep in pouches just for whenever he needs it. Under that, a list of names were listed, and the things each staff did were mind-blowing. For example, Stevie J recruited streetwalkers and participated in Diddy's freak-off parties. Justin Combs, Diddy's very own son, engaged in the freak-offs too, knowing about the young woman and spiked drinks. Brendan Paul, who worked as Diddy's weapon mule, transported guns and substances from Mexico and distributed all of them to Diddy. Frankie Santella, who carried the cash around, paid Brandon for these illegal stuff. Moy Buan, who goes around and hires street workers, attended and participated in these freak-offs. And it gets even worse here because Mr. Jones discovered that Diddy had hidden cameras in every corner of his house. And those hidden cameras had several celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and even known athletes participating in some crazy stuff, which I believe is what the FBI were looking for. Worse, every one of those individuals were probably recorded without their knowledge. So what Diddy now has is some compromising, career-ending, world-shaking footages if they ever touch the light of day. Do you think they'll touch the light of day? Like, with those videos, do you think they would come out sometime? I don't think so. But Because of this, I'm sure many people are shaking in their boots right now, hoping that their tapes aren't released. Because as a result of this lawsuit alone, Meek Mill, whose rap image is based around being tough, he's named in Diddy's lawsuit as a redacted rapper who did things that 50 Cent was saying with Diddy. And remember when 50 Cent said Diddy took him shopping?
Now, Fifth, when you continuously call Puff gay, does that affect your relationships in Hollywood?
I don't call him gay. I said,
Let me read it, Fifth.
Oh my God.
Sorry I can no longer help you guys. Soon you will all be gay and happy. You are all now left under leadership of Puffy Daddy. Report to the nearest rainbow. Dinner Thieves in theaters January 9th.
He says things, he doesn't even know what he's saying is like fruity. You know what I'm saying? Like, he says something fabulous and he goes, but me and you, we ain't party. Like, we need to party. What is he talking about? That's the kind of stuff. When people say that to me, I get a little uncomfortable. I get uncomfortable. Like, he said something to me one time, a long time ago. At Chris Lighty's wedding, he told me he'd take me shopping. I looked at him like, what'd you just say? Let me move, man, before I do something. You're gonna make me mess up the wedding.
And yeah, that wasn't too far from the truth, because I know Meek Mill's fans are livid right now, because it's been said that Meek Mill and Diddy were engaged in some brotherly love and even sometimes appearing outside in matching clothes, like couples. And even though Meek Mill grew up spitting bars, I'm curious to what else he was spitting, because, I mean, since Meek Mill's career fell from these documents alone, imagine who might suffer from this same consequences depending on who shows up in those tapes. I mean, like, this could implicate British royals like Prince Harry, because here he's seen with Diddy. Respected former presidents like Barack Obama, because here he's seen with Diddy. Large company CEOs like Lucian Grange, because he's in the lawsuit. Athletes like LeBron James, because there's a video of LeBron floating around right now that's him dancing with Diddy or in the same room with Diddy. People like Justin Bieber, who I still don't know what he was doing in that video that I showed you earlier. Christian artists like Lecrae, who said he's been to Diddy's party, and even though he didn't participate, he saw quite some stuff.
I've been to a couple Diddy parties. At one particular party, lots of big names. There was an artist there who said, "Hey, Lecrae, around 1 a.m., make sure you're not here." And I was like, "What?" "You just don't want to be here at 1 in the morning." And I was like, now my pride kicked in, like, yo, you don't know me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can handle myself. Like, I'm not some little church boy who ain't never seen nothing. Like, I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what you talking about? It's probably 12:30. I'm downstairs. And on my way upstairs, there's like this couch. And on the couch, I saw a couple of guys really going at it, hard and heavy. And man, and I was like, oh, my brain, I'm thinking, well, the celebrity party, people do what they do. As I started moving upstairs, I passed them up and I noticed that it wasn't just those two guys, it was more and more people just going at it.
Respected people like Jay-Z, Usher, who even shows up in the lawsuit as a redacted R&B singer. So it's like, what would happen to all of these people if the world found out about their tapes, right? And remember when Diddy said this?
Sit on the bed at night, no homo, no, just don't get close to the bed. Don't get close, but it's just like, yo, we want to thank you for hosting the thing, man. It's been a pleasure. You didn't have to do it, and you did it.
No, I definitely didn't have to do it. I definitely didn't have to. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed. Shout out to him and what he did. I'm just gonna, if we can, let's just put the camera a little this way, just so we're not. I don't want my shot to even, I don't want it to come close to the bed, at all. I should look like he fresh off a goddamn plane. I should.
Fresh off the guard stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, I mean, damn, pause, but like, check this out. I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get them early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
What the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this for me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes. And we're streaming live. That was stupid.
So yeah, document talks about Usher too, and it appears that it says redacted, but every detail that the document lists, it points to Usher because the details say Las Vegas residency. Who was the Las Vegas singer that had a Las Vegas residency? This is Usher. So, you know, I'm just thinking, Usher though? Usher? But at this crossroad, right, we have to look back and ask ourselves, what was Usher doing at Diddy's house at the age of 10, right? This takes us to Puffy's Flavor Camp. Puffy's Flavor Camp was a camp where young aspiring music stars would come live with Diddy for a few months and get to experience the life of a rapper.
What's up, man? You good?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything?
Yeah.
Starting to act different, huh?
No,
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you haven't. I mean, you try to get in contact with me, you know, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Okay.
Right. So both Usher and Justin Bieber were sent to Diddy at the age of 10, with both of them getting to see what was happening behind Diddy's closed door.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to
City.
something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp?
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
Camp.
was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In
to...
the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I
Come
mean,
on.
but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you
I
seeing?
went there to see the lifestyle,
Right.
And I saw it, and it was. But I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans,
And your parents
Jodeci,
were
Mary J.
okay?
Blige. They ain't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time. You know what I mean?
But you have to kind of ask, where did this all begin, right? How did Diddy get so sick? I mean, is it the power that corrupted him along the way? Is it the loss of his dad? Is it lust? Why does it seem like his whole empire is crumbling right in front of his own eyes? The rise of Diddy. By many accounts, the 1970s marked one of the darkest periods in Harlem's history, with them just going through a race riot in the late 60s. The neighborhood was littered with widespread crime, poor housing, and a lack of proper education. I mean, on your screen, you're seeing how dilapidated New York looked back then. But right here was where people like Frank Lucas, who are people who deal substances, he was trading a lot and he was very known in Harlem. Among those affected by this turmoil of Harlem was a young family with the breadwinner who was Melvin Earl Combs. He has Diddy's last name. This was Diddy's dad. And Diddy's family didn't really have much at this time, so his dad became a street hustler. He fed junkies with their necessities. He turned to the streets, became a close associate of Frank Lucas, the DL. However, Melvin's life would change very drastic on November 4th, 1969, when he and his wife, Janice Combs, welcomed their first ever child, Sean John Combs. Now, being a father, Melvin had to choose parenting, getting legal money like maybe a job, or continue dealing in the streets. If he chose the job, he would be earning a stable income without the fear of debt. But if he chose the streets, he'd be serving, making quite good money, but with the potential of getting shot and losing his life. What did Melvin do? So he made his decision, and it was the streets. And as a result of Melvin's decisions, in 1972, in the middle of a transaction, Melvin was gunned down in Central Park West and a deal gone wrong. Because of this, Diddy became fatherless, left alone with his mother just at the tender age of 2. And as you might expect, growing up without a father in New York was no easy feat for anybody, let alone Diddy and his mom. It put them in the most terrible conditions of a cramped, dingy apartment with peeling paint and flickering lights. Diddy remembers that one day he was growing up and he woke up and there were 15 roaches all on his face.
I had like 15 roaches on my face. Don't ask me how I know it was 15, but I promise you it was more than 15, but I don't want to really like bug you out. All over my face. And I said, never again.
At the time, hip-hop was hot. Dancers spun and boomboxes blared. To cope with the loss, Diddy immersed himself in this vibrant hip-hop culture that was here at the time, and it was going to grow. And Diddy saw this, so he began studying the greats, artists of the time like LL Cool J, KRS-One, Rakim, and Slick Rick. And Diddy began envisioning himself amongst them. At home, it wasn't such a good story though. He watched as his mother, who was now a widow, had worked tirelessly to provide for him and his sister. In school, he found himself in street fights, and he would huff and puff when he got angry, which was the reason why people started calling him Puff. And very forward in his second year at Howard University, at the disapproval of his own mom, he dropped out, turned a back on school forever. And with this decision, he's now left to make his own decision. Either make music or starve. Which do you think he's gonna do? Chasing the dream. Diddy had worked his way up at this point, and he's now an intern in Uptown Records. Sean, known as Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs, Diddy at the time began his path to greatness. But at this time, he didn't even know he was gonna be as big as he is today. Under the guidance of Andre Harrell, he helped mold the sound of a generation. He was an A&R, discovering talents like Jodeci and Mary J. Blige.
But, tell me a little bit about Big Bear and why do you like working with him? Because, he's not intimidated by youth, you know what I'm saying? He knows what's important to leaving a legacy behind. There's more adults out there that's going to teach the young, such as myself, and, basically leave a legacy behind, at least something behind, so, and Andre, I'll let him remember about. If you didn't know, Andre Harrell over here in the middle, and people been talking about that, been reading about it in the New York Times, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out here that hadn't heard of him before, but they saw that article in the Times and said, okay, wow, young man's doing something. But, this guy was asking what's my age. You want to know what everybody's doing, how old they are. Andre, what's happening? Tell me about the new ventures that are going on in NBA. Well, what we did, we just made a vertically integrated deal, which means that we do film, television, and records. And what we are able to do now is take our record stars and cross them into television and film, like a Heavy D.
He had a reputation for throwing legendary parties at the time, attracting athletes, musicians, and New York's finest. He was living the dream and he seemed destined for stardom. But what he didn't realize was that success bred envy, and after becoming an A&R executive just at Uptown, Diddy's world came crashing down when he was fired by Andre Harrell in 1993. Now, nobody knows why Andre fired Diddy. It's just been said that it was envy, so we're gonna call it that. Betrayed by the man that he once called his mentor, he learned his first lesson in the music industry. Loyalty was scarce and trust was easily broken. Now, Diddy, jobless, could either choose to work another job or change his entire life by chasing his own music and creating his own path. And that's what he did. He created his own path, and he became a shrewd businessman, ready to do whatever it takes to achieve his goals. Though the music industry chewed him, spat him out, he gave them artists, they gave him a 30-day notice, he was determined to rise stronger than ever before. So he quickly began making moves. He surrounded himself with a team of hustlers who shared his own vision and hungers for success. Together, they laid the foundation for what would become Bad Boy Records.
Puffy, Fat Bob, Freddy's here.
What up, Bob? Goes on, baby. Everything is all good in the hood.
Yeah. The headquarters right here, kid.
Yeah.
Bad Boy Entertainment. I named it Bad Boy because I wanted to go against the grain. Anytime you go against the grain, they consider you like kind of bad. Nothing negative, nothing like hardcore. Just, I didn't want to be regular. I didn't want to just make records. I didn't want to just make money.
I wanted to make history and making music that's timeless. Music that's gonna be around when I'm not here, when my kids ain't here. Things that, really affect way of life.
Under the Bad Boy banner, legends were born. The Notorious B.I.G., Craig Mack, Faith Evans, each one a testament to Diddy's eyes for talent. Bad Boy first releases Flavor in Your Ear by Craig Mack and Ready to Die by Biggie Smalls. And at this time, this was the time of CDs, meaning they were literally selling physical copies. Streams weren't available, right? Spotify wasn't a thing. So, in these songs that I just said they made, they went platinum, meaning they cashed in millions of dollars. So because these songs, I looked up how much a CD was, and it was 99 cents to $3 per CD. And these songs, they went platinum, like I said, meaning they sold 1 million times. And those platinum albums, those platinum singles and chart-topping hits just solidified who Diddy was in the music industry.
Yo, MTV Raps, and we up in the house that these bad boys built, you know what I'm saying? Puffy and crew. So Puffy.
This is my crew than me.
This is family.
Artists always first, baby.
Puffy, take it away.
Check it out. This my man, the Notorious B.I.G.
What's the deal? What's going on?
This my man, Craig Mack. It's my foundation, you know what I'm saying? It's my life right here. We all need each other to live and breathe, and that's the way we treat each other.
And him and his team continued dominating the charts. When you talked about Bad Boy, you had to talk about Biggie. The same year, 1995, Bad Boy got more platinum releases by Total and Faith Evans, even under Diddy's guidance. So all of these millions is coming in. Platinum albums, and Diddy is getting richer and richer and richer. Under Diddy's guidance, the label continued to expand, right? They added producers like Easy Mo B, Chucky Thompson, and D-Dot. But success was just going to come at a price. For 3 years leading up to 1995, rap had been dominated by the West Coast, with labels such as Death Row Records leading the scenes, making their millions. And so, Bad Boy Records and Death Row Records, who are on the West Coast, were going to clash. And as the rap world started taking sides, tensions continued to escalate between Bad Boy and Death Row. Suge Knight, who was the CEO of Death Row, and Diddy, who was the CEO of Bad Boy, they wouldn't get along. Suge held Diddy responsible, and at this time, a lot of shady things we can say have already started to happen. People are dying already because millions are involved and these are street guys. So Suge, he held Diddy responsible for the shooting of his friend, Jake Robles. I'm guessing Jake Robles was probably somebody who's going to do something for Suge that would make him come on top of Diddy. And since they're competing, Diddy doesn't want this to happen. So Diddy probably takes out Jake Robles, and Jake was gonna help Suge advance his career. Diddy took out Jake. Because of this, tension escalated. Full-blown war. Diss tracks left and right. I mean, it was a war between the two coasts.
First of all, I'd like to thank God. Second of all, I'd like to thank my whole entire Death Row family on both sides, you know what I'm saying? I'd like to tell Tupac, keep his guards up. We ride with him.
You have people.
And one other thing I'd like to say, anyone out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, don't have to worry about the negative producer trying to be all in the video, all on a record. They ask you, come to Death Row.
The situation escalated when Suge's very own Tupac alleged that Bad Boy, specifically Biggie and Diddy, were responsible for his own shooting in November 1994 at Quad Studios in Times Square. Tupac will go on to release Hit 'Em Up, dissing Diddy and Biggie. Tensions will soar very high, and when there's tension that's this high, somebody has to cool it down. Tragically, this feud and tension will take a deadly turn. Tupac would be shot in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996. and he'd pass away just 6 days later on September 13th. The news would send shockwaves throughout the entire hip-hop community.
Near fatal shooting, but he couldn't survive a second. Rap star Tupac Shakur died last night after a brief life in a rough business.
When he was shot in this car in Las Vegas, he was out on bail while appealing a 4.5-year sentence for sexual assault.
West Coast is shaken. The East Coast probably celebrating, leaving many to wonder if Bad Boy were the ones responsible for Tupac's death.
Now, it was this documentary that claimed, which we know wasn't true.
Yeah, check this out. We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to even go there with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking. Thank you.
Because you listen, 7 years ago, I'd have been like, yo, did you hire somebody to kill Pac? But no, you do it like a journalist.
Yeah, no, I mean, we wouldn't even get into nonsense like that. You know what I'm saying? It's nonsense.
Which we never believed, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Just months later, on March 9th, 1997, Biggie himself would be gunned down in Los Angeles, California.
The second time in 6 months, a star in the often brutal world of gangster rap has been gunned down. This time it was Notorious B.I.G.
The rapper known as Biggie Smalls was shot several times as he sat in his Chevy Suburban early this morning outside the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. Smalls had been attending a party honoring winners of the Soul Train Music Awards, at which he made an appearance Friday night.
What's up, Cali?
After the shooting, Smalls was taken to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead.
The West Coast must have revenged, right? And this crime of what happened to Biggie remains unsolved to this day. Just like that, both Tupac and Biggie, one of the 2000's greatest artists, were dead. The deaths of both rap icons came as a shock to so many. It made many people to speculate about the nature of their deaths. In the wake of Biggie's tragic death, Diddy found himself at a crossroad. He had lost his best friend, his prodigy, and it shook him to the core. But it also fueled his determination to want to even achieve more, to want to gain more power, and succeed better than he has. At this point, you can say that Diddy's net worth was around $20 million. Diddy put his grief into music. His solo album, No Way Out, and the tribute song, I'll Be Missing You, became instant hits, topping charts and solidifying Diddy as a solo artist. But he was more of a businessman than an artist, right? And all of a sudden, I'm guessing all of this death around him continued to pile up, and Diddy began drinking and engaging in fights, landing him in some hot water with the feds. In 1999, he was arrested for beating another music executive with a chair, a phone, and a champagne bottle. He was then forced to pay a fine and take anger management classes. That same year, he won't listen. He was involved in shooting a club in Manhattan where he was attending a party with his then girlfriend, Jennifer Lopez. Witnesses said they saw Diddy with a gun, but it was his friend, Shine, who caught the charges and faced 10 years in prison for. In the lawsuit today, Diddy admits to being the one who shot the gun that night. Thanks to his legal trouble, what was seen as Diddy spiraling out of control, many artists began to leave Bad Boy Records. They weren't getting paid. Yet, all of these millions were coming in, yet they weren't seeing nothing. I mean, this led to a decline in album sales. Artists were leaving. Artists are dead at this point. And this looked like it would be Diddy's end in the music business. And now with all of these records and the masters that Diddy owned from these artists, and he's generating income from them whenever they listen and bought CDs, Diddy now owned a stake in the hip-hop industry. And companies that wanted to use these artists' music, they would have to consult with Diddy to use the music. This is how Diddy really got rich. Diddy would begin talking with the Warner Music Group, Elektra Records, and they would get into a deal that would ultimately fall through. So Bad Boy started signing distribution deals with Universal, which is Disney. I mean, he's signing with Disney. Disney is rich, my guy. Under the terms of the deal, he said that he wanted to own 100% of his own company, while Universal would just handle the distribution, provide marketing and promotional support. So they gave him that. They gave him 100%, and Diddy, because he owned so many artist catalogs, he was just getting richer and richer by the day. And just like that, Diddy had gone from a washed up producer to one of the richest men in America. I mean, at this time, you can say his net worth was around 50 to 60 million. At this time, having a net worth over that Despite growing up fatherless, experiencing betrayal from Andre Harrell, and even losing one of his best friends in a gang war, Diddy persevered, emerging as one of the first in the music industry to mix hip-hop, business, and luxury together. His fashion label, Sean John, became known for high-end menswear. He made some money from that. He promoted brands of vodka, tequila, hosted exclusive parties in the Hampton. And all of this just gave Diddy more and more accolades, and he was just known, too rich, too powerful, and by the day he was getting more and more power. And although he was no longer in his 90s prime, Diddy remained a cultural icon. I mean, loved by many. He gained the respect of fans and the industry as a whole. However, as Diddy basked in his glow of his achievements, a sense of invisibility, I think, is what took hold of him. Especially a belief that he was God and untouchable. You know, when you start making so much money, you begin to think you're above everybody else. You begin to think you're above God himself, and it becomes your downfall. And little did he know that that pattern of thinking was about to be his downfall. And we have to ask, right? What would Diddy do once he does get caught? Or even if he is gonna get caught? And I doubt he's gonna get caught, but what would he do if he does? Sociopathic tendencies. People like Reggie Wright has made their predictions on what Diddy would do if he gets caught.
But he need to build a spot over there in Bali for his boy Puffy. Puffy I warn Keefy D to take his ass over there. There's no extradition laws over there. So I'm warning you now, Puffy. Take your ass over there. Reggie prediction. I know Puffy is smart enough, and he probably done already cleaned his houses. But sexual predators, what do they do? And we'd be like, damn, why? They treat their sex tapes like, yeah, remember that song, Me and My Girlfriend, that Pac did? What he was talking about? What was Pac talking about, y'all? And that. Do y'all really know what he was talking about? For those of y'all know what he's talking about, he was talking about a gun, but sexual predators is what hold on to their tapes. And cops know that. So I wouldn't be surprised if some storages or some of Puffy properties be getting raided real soon, because they need to get to those tapes. They get one of those tapes with him with those little people that's been making the accusations. Woo, man. Done. But Puffy the type, he'll blow his brains out, guarantee y'all. Or do like he did on that corkscrew lie, how he did. We know what you did, Puff. Misa told us, nigga, you slit your wrist. He gonna do something stupid like that.
I know Diddy is wild, but is he wild enough to do that? You know, part of me believes he will work his magic. I mean, he knows politicians, right? These are people that can get him out of tough situations like this because of ties, this close ties that they all have together. Do something for me, I do something for you. And that's a video I plan to make. You know, politicians, they sometimes use rap to get into positions of power. Like presidents using Diddy to connect to the hip-hop audience and the black people and get them on their side. It's a whole lot of stuff. I do find this entire situation sad, considering, you know, how such little amount of us black folks get to that point of success, and just because of lust, the inability to control yourself, you're seeing it all burn down right in front of your eyes, right? And I saw a video on Twitter with a guy making a great point too.
Dude created one of the greatest musical legacies. A family, became a billionaire, and ruined his legacy, throwing it all away because he couldn't control his callous sexual urges, the common downfall of the man. Of course, we don't know for sure if Diddy's guilty or not, so because it hasn't gotten to court, but there's a bigger picture and a lesson here for black boys and men. It is commonly a downfall for men, even before they become men. And I do think it's necessary to have this conversation because oftentimes black boys aren't taught anything as it relates to their sex life or when those hormones and urges start. If anything, we may be taught use a condom if you do, or don't bring no kids home. So there's not really a framework for what to do with your sex drive. And because of that, And because of a culture that kind of encourages and says that manhood is wild, reckless sex, racking up your numbers, getting as many as possible, this can turn to a much larger issue where there isn't any type of restraint or management as it relates to sexual urges, and it can turn into the situation that we see being asserted with Diddy and in other situations, because the sole focus is getting what you want out of the situation sexually without regard for risk to yourself, others, people's emotions, people's mental state, finances. We know that many men will put themselves in compromising positions due to the potential of being able to have sex in a particular situation. We go against all better judgment just because there's potential for sex, and that's something that needs to be managed rather than encouraged. But we're in a culture where, for the average straight man, it's encouraged, go after it if you want it. And while there is this idea of shooting your shot and having some courage and being able to accept rejection, this does go too far for some people, and they end up in situations like this. So we want to encourage a culture of sexual discipline rather than a more hedonistic view that says life is about any pleasure that I want, forsaking all others.
And granted, Diddy did have an entire blackmail operation going, but if he had better framework and guidance as a young man, possibly maybe early in his life, I don't think his life would have spiraled out of control like this, right? I also do believe Diddy is somewhat of a psychopath, and if he wasn't a psychopath as he is, I don't think he would have made it this far. We seem to reward psychopaths with such god complexes that it becomes such a thing to either ponder, maybe laugh, or even cry at. I mean, articles will even tell you that being psychopathic is a positive character trait. Okay. And the way everything is all set up is like capitalism and all of that. Sociopathic tendencies is what seems to win, right? By default, you know. And even though life is tough and there are a ton of things to learn, and this one thing has been one heck of a learning experience for me, you know. And another part of me thinks that if half of those 25 plus serious allegations sticks, you can expect Diddy to be going away for life.
Death Row can be bigger than Motown, or Sony, or Warner Brothers.
Death Row is going to be the biggest record company there is.
The master plan was to take over the world.
All of the greatest artists came together at one time, and it was like a comet streaking across the sky.
Sex, drugs, violence.
For better or for worse, gangbanging went pop.
It's like everything we touched turned to gold.
Next year, Death Row gonna start printing our own money.
If you wanted a car, 2 cars, 5 cars, you could have it.
The very first year, I generated $150 million.
Death Row parties was super bananas.
Like, this shit can't be real.
The more money we made and the bigger that we got, it became more dangerous.
It was just a blood nation.
Suge spooked me. I'm telling you, I didn't want to be around him.
They want drama. We're gonna definitely bring it like only Death Row could bring it.
That's when I knew this is more than just music. This is dangerous.
When Pac died, I'm finna get the f out of here.
I know who killed Tupac Shakur. The last living eyewitness to Tupac's murder is telling his story.
Legacy of Death Row could have been bigger than Jesus, but they crucified themselves.
Dépêche-toi, dépêche-toi. Donc là, on se rend sur une des bases du bataillon Azov à Kiev.
Слава Украине!
О проведении специальной военной операции. Для этого мы будем стремиться к демилитаризации и денацификации Украины.
Захищай рід, захищай себе!
Захищай рід, захищай себе!
This is the best gun a Russian guy like this gun.
Do you know how many people you killed on the front line?
Я що, рахую?
Україну! Україну! Свята мати героїв! Свята мати героїв! Служу українській нації! Солодку смерть в муках за тебе! Солодку смерть в муках за тебе!
Vous avez sûrement déjà entendu parler du régiment Azov, une branche militaire de l'armée ukrainienne célèbre à la fois pour ses victoires sur la ligne de front contre l'armée russe dans plusieurs régions d'Ukraine, mais aussi parce que plusieurs enquêtes de médias internationaux ont montré qu'une partie des combattants de ce régiment sont des néo-nazis. J'ai pu rencontrer certains soldats de la frange la plus radicale du régiment et j'ai mis très longtemps à faire cette vidéo pour des questions de sécurité. Avant de la commencer, c'est très important pour moi que vous gardiez en tête que les personnes que vous allez voir ne sont pas du tout représentatives ni de l'Ukraine ni de la totalité du régiment Azov qui a énormément changé depuis le début de l'invasion russe en février 2022. La plupart des images ont été filmées à ce moment-là, quand les Russes étaient aux portes de Kiev, la capitale. C'est un moment où le régiment a explosé en termes de recrutement. Plusieurs milliers d'Ukrainiens ont rejoint ses rangs parce qu'ils voulaient défendre leur pays. Et je précise ça parce que toutes les statistiques qu'on avait à l'époque sur le régiment et ce qu'on pensait savoir sur le nombre de néo-nazis dans Azov, tout ça est devenu quelque part obsolète du jour au lendemain. Ensuite, certaines personnes que j'ai rencontrées ne sont pas ukrainiens, mais sont des néo-nazis russes ou biélorusses qui ont rejoint le régiment Azov. J'étais pas non plus seul sur le terrain, ce reportage je l'ai fait avec Camille Courcy qui m'a filmé. On était ensemble sur place au début de l'invasion et c'est avec elle qu'on a rencontré les premiers membres d'Azov près d'un bombardement dans Kiev sur la tour de télévision de la capitale.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Что, 4 сколько? 4 крылатых ракеты.
Парни стоят, они больше.
Да, они больше, они молодцы. Мы чисто
а
где вот эти куски там этих ракет есть? На той стороне.
На той стороне там же есть тоже.
On est ensuite parti sur un autre site de bombardement où j'ai rencontré 2 soldats biélorusses qui ont fui leur pays pour combattre avec les Ukrainiens. Il faut savoir que le président biélorusse Alexandre Loukachenko, c'est un dictateur proche de Poutine. C'est à partir de ce moment-là que je vais commencer à entendre des choses intéressantes.
Лукашенко – это незаконный узурпатор власти в Беларуси, который полностью зависит и коллаборирует с Владимиром Путиным и с его режимом в Российской Федерации. Когда начались боевые действия с Российской Федерацией, я поддерживал Украину, я понимал, что Украина – это тот плацдарм возрождения, который может позволить в том числе и белорусам освободиться после того, как мы освободим Украину.
Après avoir échangé avec ce combattant d'Azov, il me parle de son camarade à côté qui ferait partie des hooligans du Dynamo Minsk, la capitale biélorusse.
Football hooligans in Dynamo Minsk, one of leader.
Et ça m'interpelle tout de suite parce que je sais qu'il y a des hooligans du Dynamo Minsk et de Kiev qui sont des néo-nazis.
Вот. И очень-очень много хулиганов, футбольных ультрас пишут и уже едут сюда и хотят принять участие вместе с нами на защиту Киева, на защиту Украины.
Très vite, en discutant avec lui, je comprends qu'il a peut-être un rôle important entre les hooligans de Minsk, mais aussi ceux de Kiev.
Координирую всех людей, которые уезжают оттуда. Очень-очень много футбольных фанатов со всего мира пишет. Люди понимают, что это война в каком-то разрезе. Война добра со злом. Тут абсолютно понятно, где добро, где зло. Война, после которой либо мы, либо они. Потому что, если Путин здесь сюда пройдет, то дальше будет Польша, дальше будет дальше. То есть белая Европа, культура Европы, то есть это... Белая Европа, культура Европы, то есть...
Et en fait, quand j'entends la traduction de ce passage, je comprends que j'ai mis le doigt sur quelque chose. Et dans ce qu'il raconte, en fait, il explique que des hooligans de toute l'Europe le contactent via Instagram. Et donc forcément, après, pour trouver des éléments en plus, je suis allé chercher son Insta en privé que j'ai fini par trouver.
Человек, россиянский человек. Видишь, что ты делаешь?
Віддаю тобі душу, перуне, почуй клич.
Je me suis tout de suite demandé ce que racontait cette musique. Et en fait, cette chanson, c'est une ode à la gloire de Perun, le dieu du tonnerre dans la mythologie slave antique. Mais aujourd'hui, avec le néopaganisme, la résurgence de croyances polythéistes, il est aussi vénéré comme le dieu des guerriers. Et en cherchant un peu sur Internet, je suis tombé sur ce rituel de combattants du bataillon Azov en Ukraine.
Захищай рід, захищай себе!
Захищай рід, захищай себе!
Тут!
Тут!
Будь то!
Будь то!
Ensuite, en surveillant régulièrement le compte Insta du soldat biélorusse, j'ai compris que j'avais affaire à un néo-nazi. Une fois que j'ai trouvé ce gars, j'ai négocié pour pouvoir continuer à suivre ce groupe. Vu que c'était le début de l'invasion, ils avaient beaucoup de choses à faire. C'est pour ça qu'ils hésitaient. Et à ce moment-là, j'ai quand même réussi à les convaincre. Et ils m'ont emmené avec eux dans un magasin où ils allaient acheter de l'équipement et du matériel.
С правой стороны черепа тоже светленький, резиновый. Да, там уже майже ничего не нужно. Да. И Национальная гвардия Украины вот эту штуку. И он парень.
Dans le magasin, un des trucs qui m'interpelle assez vite, c'est le mur de patch, parce que j'en reconnais tout de suite plusieurs. Du coup, je les ai aussi montrés à Adrien Nonjon, un chercheur qui connaît très bien les mouvements d'ultra-droite en Europe de l'Est.
Avec la guerre, on a une profusion de symboles néo-païens d'origine nordique qui sont en vente et utilisés par les combattants. Quelque chose qui est très répandu aussi, c'est l'usage des runes, donc la rune Tyr, là, qui est en fait en lien avec l'archétype guerrier. Et puis enfin, on a la rune Odal qui symbolise dans la mythologie nordique en fait le foyer, l'amour, la défense de celui-ci. Voilà. Okay. Bon, je vois qu'on passe aussi à côté des petits soleils noirs. C'est un symbole occulte utilisé par les nazis et surtout les néo-nazis après la chute du Troisième Reich.
C'est un Waffen-SS qui a créé ce signe.
Oui, ça c'est en fait un symbole qu'on retrouve dans le château de Wewelsburg, qui est donc le centre de formation de la SS pendant la Seconde Guerre mondiale. Voilà.
De 1933 jusqu'à la fin de la Seconde Guerre mondiale, le château de Wewelsburg dont parle Adrien appartenait à Heinrich Himmler, le chef des SS de l'Allemagne nazie et de la Gestapo, qui est considéré comme l'un des criminels de guerre les plus importants du XXe siècle. Himmler avait fait de cet endroit le quartier général des soldats SS et on pouvait voir le symbole du soleil noir à plusieurs endroits du château. Après quelques minutes dans le magasin de Kiev, un soldat m'a interpellé en français.
Tu parles français?
Hein? Non.
Oui.
Moi, je parle français.
Oui, oui.
Tu parles français?
Oui, mon frère.
Comment? D'où?
Oui, la Légion.
Le gars a l'air très jeune et il m'explique qu'il a fait la Légion étrangère française. Il me montre son béret vert. Et en vrai, je suis hyper surpris parce que je ne m'attendais pas du tout à croiser un légionnaire dans ce magasin. Et du coup, j'ai cherché à savoir ce qu'il était venu chercher ici. Mais il y a un détail que j'ai pas vu tout de suite.
Qu'est-ce que tu as besoin d'acheter?
Armor, just armor. Armor and plastinski.
That's all of we need because we need protection for our guys.
Au moment de le quitter, je lui pose une dernière question, et c'est là où je vois le détail que j'avais raté, la rune double sig, qui est le symbole des militaires de la SS de l'Allemagne nazie. Et donc pareil, je suis parti chercher sur ses réseaux sociaux privés, et j'ai trouvé pas mal de choses. Je tombe d'abord sur cette photo avec une croix gammée, le principal symbole de l'Allemagne nazie d'Adolf Hitler. Un peu plus loin, je trouve cette photo avec marqué 1488. En fait, c'est une sorte de code néo-nazi composé du chiffre 14 qui représente les 14 mots d'un slogan inventé par un néo-nazi et suprémaciste blanc américain qui s'appelle David Lane, et ce slogan, c'est celui-là.
We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children.
Et le double 8 fait référence au double H Heil Hitler parce que le H est la 8e lettre de l'alphabet. Il y a une dernière photo sur laquelle je m'arrête parce que je reconnais pas le dessin sur le t-shirt du gars à côté du soldat d'Azov, et c'est Adrien qui va m'aider à comprendre.
Il arbore un t-shirt qu'on peut facilement identifier comme celui d'un groupe de supporters ultra rattachés au Dynamo de Kiev qui sont les White Boys en fait.
Juste à côté de l'insigne du Dynamo de Kiev, on peut aussi voir une croix celtique qui est devenue, avec le temps, un symbole de l'extrême droite radicale, et un crâne qui était l'emblème de la division Totenkopf, qui était une division d'élite de la Waffen-SS.
Au départ, le nationalisme ukrainien, nouvelle génération, a surtout recruté large dans d'abord les formations paramilitaires du début des années 2000, fin 90, mais surtout voilà, chez différents clubs, clubs ultra.
Des hooligans.
Ouais, des hooligans en fait. Pourquoi? Parce que tout simplement ces gens-là, à la différence d'autres, avaient déjà une expérience de la violence. En fait, la violence est très ritualisée chez eux. Bon, déjà dans les affrontements entre les clubs de supporters, mais aussi ils s'entraînent. Voilà, il y a
des rites de passage.
Rites de passage, voilà.
Ok. Donc là, je comprends que j'ai mis un pied dans la frange la plus radicale d'Azov, et donc ça me donne envie de creuser un peu plus pour essayer de rencontrer des leaders de ces ultranationalistes, et je vais insister pour filmer dans leur base ou sur la ligne de front avec eux.
Ils veulent pas qu'on filme le trajet pour pas révéler où se trouve cette base. Donc voilà, je pourrais filmer à nouveau qu'à l'intérieur.
No? You should tell me no. Later, okay.
Mais la première tentative pour entrer dans une des bases ne fonctionne pas. Ils ne veulent pas que des journalistes viennent filmer. C'est un petit peu compréhensible malgré tout parce qu'on est au début de l'invasion et l'armée russe se sert de toutes les sources vidéo publiques pour trouver les géolocalisations de points stratégiques. Mais pareil, avec Camille, on sent qu'il ne faut pas qu'on abandonne et donc on décide de rester avec eux.
This is new salad from the Russia guy. He likes this. Перший солдат, який прийшов на Донбас з зброєю наших партнерів, зброєю американською. This is M4. It is the best gun. Thank you. Thank you, United States. A Russian guy like this gun.
En fait, ce gars, il s'appelle Mikhail Meyman et il parle beaucoup sur ses réseaux des combats sur la ligne de front avec son unité.
Решил немножко дать пизды москалям. Выехали в бой.
Do you know how many people you killed on the front line?
Дуже багато. Дуже. Один, я що, рахую? Я кожен день працюю. This is my work. Every time я працюю кожен день, як напали на мене агресори. Коли нападають, відбиваюся. Я ж не рахую.
Et en fait, je comprends que Mikhail est le bras droit de quelqu'un de plus important qui est aussi présent dans la pièce, Dimitro Korchinski.
Dmytro Korchinski, on va dire que c'est une figure tutélaire du nationalisme radical ukrainien. Donc il est surtout connu pour avoir co-dirigé ce qu'on appelle UNAUNSO, qui est un vieux groupe nationaliste ukrainien fondé au début des années 90 et qui s'est notamment déjà illustré par le fait de combattre dans différents conflits post-soviétiques. En fait, Dmytro Korchinski fait partie de ces vétérans, de ces gens qui ont initié ce mouvement, avec d'abord cette ambition de déstabiliser la Russie, parce qu'à cette époque-là, en 90, dans le nationalisme ukrainien, il s'agit de réfléchir à comment arracher l'Ukraine de l'influence russe, et ça passait notamment par une stratégie de déstabilisation de la Russie en s'attaquant aux périphéries, donc en l'occurrence les territoires en guerre contre la Russie.
Створив батальйон «Свята Марія» на початку війни, в 2014 році, де ми всі воювали. І зараз ми створили батальйон «Братство» і так само продовжуємо війну проти Москви і сподіваюся, що закінчимо її на руїнах Кремля.
Lui, c'est un fondamentaliste orthodoxe. Voilà. Leur ambition, eux, c'est vraiment de rétablir une forme de théocratie en Ukraine où les valeurs orthodoxes régiraient la société. Donc pour lui, il s'agit bien entendu de faire en sorte que l'Ukraine ne se libéralise pas trop sur le plan des mœurs. Il est contre les droits des femmes dans une certaine mesure, il est contre le mariage homosexuel. Donc il est notamment connu pour ça, à tel point d'ailleurs qu'il parle, un peu avec provocation, de vouloir rétablir une forme de taliban, de régime taliban en Ukraine d'inspiration orthodoxe.
En fait, après cette rencontre, des portes vont s'ouvrir. On a pu filmer une partie de leur arsenal et de leur armement, et on a rencontré d'autres membres du régiment.
2 minutes, I have. 2 minutes. А конкретно ця кімната – це наша, як кажуть, оружейка або арсенал нашої зброї, де ми накоплюємо зброю, автомати, стрілецьку зброю, різноманітну техніку і перерозподіляємо її по підрозділах.
Et à un moment, un de nos contacts dans la SOF me dit que si on veut, on peut rencontrer quelqu'un de très haut placé, mais qui apparemment déteste les journalistes. Et on finit par aller dans une pièce au fond d'un sous-sol d'une base d'Azov. En fait, en face de moi, c'est Sergueï Korotkik, un chef d'Azov qui est considéré comme un des hommes les plus dangereux du régiment. Mais à ce moment-là, je le sais pas.
Это наградной ствол за что-то там, что мне дали вместо ордена, потому что мне предлагали ордена, я брал наградное. Естественно, такой вид он приобрел, это кропотливый труд оружейников. Он не был столь красив. Это больше статусная вещь, это больше талисман. Когда я иду не в расположении, я использую этот.
Très vite, il me dit qu'il est l'un des hommes les plus recherchés d'Ukraine par les Russes.
Я человек, который один из создателей батальона, а сейчас полка Азов, был командиром разведки в 2014-2015 году в полку Азов. Я достаточно раздражаю русских, чтобы быть в этом списке там, из 680 человек, подлежащих ликвидации.
En réalité, ça n'a pas été facile du tout d'en apprendre plus sur Sergueï Korotkik parce que beaucoup de gens ont très peur de lui. J'ai contacté un des rares journalistes d'investigation qui a enquêté sur son passé et qui est encore en vie. On s'est parlé longuement au téléphone et il a accepté de témoigner, mais pour sa sécurité, il ne voulait pas être filmé, il ne voulait pas non plus qu'on enregistre sa voix, ni qu'on la modifie. Il a seulement accepté de me parler de son enquête par message. La voix que vous allez entendre n'est pas la sienne.
Je préfère ne pas faire d'interview vidéo ou audio parce que parler de lui implique beaucoup de risques sécuritaires. J'ai commencé à enquêter sur Sergueï Korotkik à cause de ses activités et de ses liens avec des crimes dans 3 pays, la Biélorussie, la Russie et l'Ukraine. C'est peut-être l'un des hommes les plus dangereux d'Ukraine à cause de son passé violent. Il entretiendrait lui-même cette image de personne dangereuse pour faire peur à ses ennemis.
Son passé violent, en réalité, il n'a pas commencé en Ukraine, mais en Russie et en Biélorussie. Je vous préviens, cette histoire, elle est pas facile à comprendre, donc accrochez-vous. En fait, Sergueï Korotkik est accusé de meurtre dans les 3 pays dont parlait ma source, en Russie, en Biélorussie et en Ukraine. Mais c'était surtout un néo-nazi qui a eu un rôle très important dans les années 2000 dans des groupes terroristes russes.
Il est russe d'origine, mais il a grandi en fait en Biélorussie. Durant sa jeunesse, il a étudié dans les écoles de formation du KGB biélorusse, mais ses études, ce parcours, ne l'a pas empêché de militer dans différentes organisations d'extrême droite et néo-nazis, aussi bien biélorusses que russes. Il y en a 2 en fait dans lesquels il a milité activement. Tu as d'un côté un premier, donc c'est l'Unité nationale russe.
Organisation paramilitaire et parti politique néo-nazi.
Et sinon, un autre mouvement qu'il a en partie fondé, qui était la Société nationale socialiste.
Organisation néo-nazie russe illégale d'extrême droite, fondée en 2004 par Dmitri Rumiantsev et Sergueï Korotkik.
La Société nationale socialiste, c'est une organisation dont les membres adulaient Adolf Hitler, qui se préparait à une guerre raciale et voulait nettoyer la Russie des minorités ethniques. En fait, ils voulaient plonger le pays dans le chaos et prendre le pouvoir. Dans ce groupe, avec Sergueï Korotkik, il y avait d'autres noms de néo-nazis et meurtriers connus en Russie, comme Maxim Martsinkevitch, surnommé Tesak, ça veut dire le hachoir.
Мы должны просто гордо встать и сказать: мы арийцы, вырезать всех нигеров, китайцев, евреев, хачей, вырезать их просто, чтобы их не осталось.
Un homme qui a avoué avoir assassiné plusieurs personnes avant d'être emprisonné, et c'est quelqu'un dont on a un peu parlé en France parce qu'il était connu pour avoir terrorisé et torturé de nombreuses personnes de la communauté gay en Russie. Les membres de la Société nationale socialiste sont extrêmement dangereux et sont accusés d'avoir tué plusieurs dizaines de personnes. Ils seraient notamment les auteurs d'une vidéo d'exécution ignoble filmée en 2007 dans un bois près de Moscou. Dans cette vidéo, on peut voir deux hommes agenouillés et ligotés. L'un va être décapité au couteau-ci et l'autre abattu d'une balle dans la tête. En fait, les victimes seraient toutes les deux issues de minorités ethniques en Russie que les néo-nazis souhaitent faire disparaître. La personne tuée par balle était d'origine tadjik et la personne décapitée a été identifiée quelques mois plus tard. Il s'agit de Shamil Odamanov, un jeune homme de 24 ans, originaire du Daghestan, une république fédérée de Russie. Encore aujourd'hui, cette vidéo est considérée comme le crime de haine non résolu le plus ignoble et le plus tristement célèbre de Russie. En 2015, le réalisateur israélien Vladi Antonevitch a fait un documentaire sur cette affaire et avec son enquête, il pense que Sergueï Korotkik est le bourreau qui a décapité Shamil. Je vous mets un lien vers son documentaire sur YouTube qui est complètement dingue et qui fait vraiment froid dans le dos. Et en fait, c'est en partie pour toutes ces accusations qu'il aurait quitté la Russie avec une traînée de cadavres dans son sillon.
С Российской Федерацией я плотно во вражде, начиная с 2008 года. Я объявлен там экстремистом через суд с 2009. Про меня достаточно много чуши и вранья написано, просто в попытке дискредитировать, в попытке получить меня на выдачу, в попытке меня посадить. Масса моих друзей села в тюрьму, и кое-кто там даже умер, был запытан до смерти. Там внутри России.
Sergueï a toujours nié les accusations de meurtre qui pèsent sur lui, mais en septembre 2020, le néo-nazi dont je vous parlais, Maxim Martsinkevitch, a été retrouvé mort dans une prison russe. Les autorités disent qu'il se serait suicidé. Et au même moment, le comité d'enquête de la Fédération de Russie, qui est le principal organe d'enquête dans le pays, a révélé que peu de temps avant sa mort, Martsinkevitch avait écrit une note à un ami dans laquelle il avouait le meurtre de plusieurs personnes en 2007, dont celui de Shamil Odamanov et du Tadjik tué dans la vidéo. Il a aussi déclaré que c'était Sergueï qui avait décapité Shamil. C'est en partie à cause de toutes ces accusations qu'il aurait fui la Russie et rejoint l'Ukraine. En 2014, au début de la guerre, il est même naturalisé ukrainien par l'ancien président Petro Poroshenko. Mais très vite là-bas, il est aussi accusé de plusieurs meurtres. Et c'est là que son profil devient compliqué à cerner parce que c'est difficile de savoir vraiment où se trouve sa loyauté.
Il a peut-être un lien avec le meurtre du combattant d'Azov, Yaroslav Babiš, mais aussi avec celui de l'opposant biélorusse Vitali Chichov, et enfin celui du journaliste biélorusse Pavel Cheremet.
Pavel Cheremet a été tué en juillet 2016 à Kiev par une bombe piégée placée sous sa voiture. C'était un journaliste biélorusse qui dénonçait publiquement l'autoritarisme et la corruption du régime de Loukachenko, le président biélorusse. Craignant pour sa sécurité, il avait ensuite rejoint la Russie où il continuait à enquêter, notamment sur le pouvoir de Vladimir Poutine. Il est devenu rapidement là-bas aussi une voix dissidente et il a fini par rejoindre l'Ukraine pour continuer à travailler en sécurité. C'était un journaliste très engagé pour les droits humains, peu importe le régime en place. Et juste avant sa mort, il avait notamment écrit sur le bataillon Azov qui venait d'être intégré à l'armée ukrainienne et il expliquait les risques que cette milice pouvait représenter pour le pays à l'époque. Il y a eu beaucoup de théories sur sa mort, mais en 2021, le site d'information en ligne EU Observer a publié un enregistrement audio qui serait la voix du chef du KGB biélorusse dans lequel on l'entend dire qu'il faudrait tuer Cheremet avec une bombe. Comme souvent dans les assassinats politiques en Russie, en Biélorussie et même en Ukraine, rien n'a jamais été prouvé officiellement. Mais c'est aussi pour cette raison que beaucoup de gens lient la mort de Cheremet à Sergueï Korotkik, qui est passé par le KGB biélorusse.
En fait, on n'est pas sûr à 100% du fait que Korotký aurait coupé tout lien avec le KGB biélorusse et le FSB russe. Et donc, lui, en tout cas, à chaque fois, on lui renvoie son passé d'ancien élève du KGB ou affilié à des organisations d'extrême droite, surveillées, voire pilotées par le FSB. Et pour certains, oui, il s'agirait d'une taupe russe. Korotký, même s'il s'en est toujours défendu publiquement, est soupçonné d'avoir assassiné Cheremetz parce que Cheremetz pensait que Korotký avait plus ou moins un lien avec la disparition, l'assassinat de Boris Nemtsov, ce journaliste opposant au pouvoir russe.
Мы должны сказать «нет» войне. Мы должны сказать «хватит маразму». Мы должны сказать «Россия и Украина без Путина». Россия и Украина без Путина.
Boris Nemtsov, c'était un homme politique russe, mais surtout un des plus importants adversaires du régime de Vladimir Poutine. Et c'était d'ailleurs un proche d'Alexeï Navalny, lui aussi un des opposants les plus critiques du président russe, qui est mort subitement en prison le 16 février 2024 et qui avait déjà été empoisonné en 2020. Il avait survécu et plusieurs enquêtes de médias internationaux avaient pointé la responsabilité du FSB, des services de renseignement russes, dans cette tentative d'assassinat.
Alors, да, я понял.
L'interview, au final, a été assez courte. Au moment où je le rencontre, en fait, je ne sais pas qui c'est. Et donc, je pense qu'il a essayé de se servir de moi en se disant que j'allais sûrement faire passer des messages. Mais surtout, je ne pouvais pas le confronter avec les accusations qui existent sur ses liens avec tous ces meurtres. Quoi qu'il arrive, avec ce genre de personnage, c'est quelque chose que j'aurais préparé pendant des mois et des mois avant de prendre un tel risque. Pour finir cette vidéo, je voulais vous raconter une dernière anecdote parce que pendant l'interview, j'ai remarqué qu'un gars écoutait notre conversation. Et en partant de la base, j'ai filmé son visage pour savoir qui il était. Il s'avère en fait que c'est Nikita Makevei, nom de code Odyssée, le bras droit de Sergueï, qui est lui aussi un néo-nazi russe naturalisé ukrainien en 2019 par Volodymyr Zelensky. Et la même année, sur son compte Instagram, il avait posté un message pour rendre hommage au terroriste Brenton Tarrant qui s'était filmé en train de tuer 51 personnes désarmées dans des mosquées en Nouvelle-Zélande. C'était un suprémaciste blanc qui est aujourd'hui adulé par les néo-nazis du monde entier pour ce massacre et cet attentat terroriste. Voilà, c'est la fin de cette vidéo, j'espère qu'elle vous a intéressé. En réalité, si j'avais été un journaliste ukrainien, ça aurait été extrêmement dangereux pour moi de la publier en étant dans le pays. Et encore une fois, ce n'est pas à cause des Ukrainiens et de la population là-bas, mais des quelques néo-nazis que vous avez pu voir dans cette vidéo. Ce qui est sûr, c'est que mon travail sera sûrement beaucoup plus compliqué et risqué si je retourne en Ukraine, ce que j'aimerais quand même faire un jour. Et sur une note un peu plus personnelle, c'était aussi important pour moi de vous raconter cette histoire pour rappeler que les gens que vous venez de voir, les meurtres, les menaces qu'il y a derrière, l'autoritarisme des régimes dont on a parlé, c'est ça l'extrême droite dans sa forme violente et tôt ou tard, l'un ne peut pas exister sans l'autre. Merci beaucoup d'avoir suivi cette vidéo. Je vous rappelle que pour ceux qui veulent me soutenir, j'ai une page Patreon qui m'aide énormément à financer mes vidéos. N'oubliez pas non plus de vous abonner. Merci encore pour votre soutien. À très vite.